I think the problem before I met you that I was having was that I had run my business for many years all on my own and just didn't have income consistency or a steady workflow or anything like that after all of that time. And I had spent so long feeling overwhelmed and stressed and lost and like I had no direction. And a few months before we met, I was trying to run my first group coaching program after doing one-on-one for about 3 years and actually being pretty successful at it. But I had taken a few months off of work to move to Bali, get settled, and coming back into the workflow was so difficult for me because when I'm not working on my business, no one is working on my business. And so coming back after a few months and trying to sign clients, I tried to book out my first group program and I didn't sign a single client. And I was so discouraged, so confused. I thought that I was the problem, that my products weren't good, that I had no sales skills, all of the limiting beliefs. And I wanted to quit so many times. And I just felt like I didn't know what my future was. Like my business wasn't going to be sustainable. I wasn't going to be able to figure it out. And I just felt like I had tried everything I could that I knew and exhausted my knowledge, and I was still lost. Now, do you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah.
I'm Sarah. I am a body image coach. I help women feel confident and good in their bodies. I've run my business for 4 years. I've known Arthur for almost 1 year. And in that amount of time, I have completely revamped and redone and restructured and deepened my business knowledge, the workings of my business, and all of my strategies. What else do I help people do? I change people's lives every single day. But I never had a formal business education. So outside of the life-changing and the mentorship that I know is so valuable for so many women, I feel lost and confused often. Should I talk about when we met?
Yeah.
Okay. So we met almost a year ago, which is crazy. And before we met, in the months after I tried to book out that group program and it just totally flopped, I was so overwhelmed, so exhausted, so stressed, and yeah, I just wanted to give up so many times. And then we met through a friend, kind of by coincidence. We were just in the same place at the same time. And I remember you asking me about what I did for work, and I didn't know anything about you, but you just kept asking me all of these questions that I had been waiting to find the answers to myself, like what I do and how I do it and what my problems are. And you gave me so much insight and knowledge. You knew so much. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, the universe has given me the person that I've been looking for. This mysterious man knows so many things, and I just felt so comforting. I remember we met in person, and then we went our separate ways, and I texted you afterwards on Instagram, and I was like, thank you for everything you shared with me. It was super helpful. I just felt so calm after our conversation, even though you hadn't really told me anything to do. You'd just given me some insight. And I said, like, let me buy you a coffee and ask you more questions. I remember thinking, like, conversations with this person are clearly so valuable. I hope that he lets me just keep buying him coffee in exchange for knowledge. And you were just texting me so much information, like so generous, so many resources, like YouTube videos, knowledge, just so much good stuff. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I'm so lucky to have met this person. And it felt so good. And long story short, we chatted a few more times, like a couple times. You gave me so much of your energy and your time so willingly, so generously. And then I was basically like, I need you. Like, please help me. Which is the best way to find a new client, for them to just be like, let me give you my money. And I remember feeling like, going into our conversation where we decided to work together, I remember thinking like, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how much this guy costs. But based on the hours he's already given me and what he clearly knows, pretty much any amount of money would be worth it for me, within reason. But yeah, I remember not so much the question being like, should I do this? More the question being like, how am I going to make this work? And that was a really exciting moment for me. It was scary to be like, oh my God, I'm signing up to spend a lot of time, be really vulnerable with my business and all of the shit that's been really hard that I'm kind of embarrassed about not having figured out on my own. And also I'm going to be paying this person. Need to figure that part out, but still just being like, this is the right decision because you clearly just knew your shit and you cared.
Was the right decision?
It was. Yes. I mean, I think about me almost a year ago now, right before I met you, versus me now, both as a business owner and a person. And I feel completely different. I feel like an evolved version of myself. I never went to business school. I don't have a business degree. Like, I've not really taken any business courses myself. I've just run my business by throwing shit at the wall and figuring out what sticks. And that worked for me for a few years. I was really successful on social media. I gained followings really fast. And I figured out those algorithms and then they changed and I never figured them out again. But the depth of knowledge that I now have is life-changing and just makes me a self-sufficient human being. I hope you can see that change in me as well. I still rely on you a lot, but because you're extremely intelligent, not because I can't do it on my own. But like, do you remember when we met? And the concept of like researching and testing things was just completely new to me. I had never thought like, there's logic behind this, like there's systems you can use. And that's exactly what I knew I needed was systems, but I didn't really even know what that meant. And it was so refreshing to talk to you and be like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to test it and we're going to see what works and then we're going to try something else. And through that system, especially over the past almost year, the amount of stuff that we've learned about what works for me and what doesn't, because you have to know what doesn't work, is huge. So absolutely the right decision. I mean, I remember when we decided to work together, I felt like I was starting a new chapter. And I was like, okay, you need to put your all into this. This is what you want. You're investing in this. If you actually want to get your investment's worth, then you need to put the work in. Like, I need to do that because you can't do it all for me, even though you want to, and you give so much. And I wrote down all of my wins. And so I had this notebook page and I would write down every day, like all of my small wins. And I think in the first like 2 weeks, I had filled the whole page. And then I did that for about 2 months, really consistently, at least twice a week, sometimes every day if I could. And I have pages and pages of wins. And they're not just tiny things. A lot of them are small, but some of them are really big, like signing 3 clients in one day, or signing a client for the highest ticket price that I've done before, or just feeling confident on a sales call, running my first ads, very scary, but good, and like opening my online platforms that we now have, that you literally were like, do this, like you gave me this idea to have these online communities. And I remember you giving me that idea And as soon as I started doing it, I remember saying to you, like, this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing. But without you, I wouldn't have even known that that was an option. So many wins. I remember feeling completely different within the first few weeks and just so calm. And something that's really important to mention is that, you know, regardless of who you end up working with, but especially someone like me who needs that systems, needs that, not even organization, but like structure, intention, your energy allows me to feel so safe, so seen, and like I can trust the process. And therefore, my stress levels go down, my anxiety goes down. You know, I'm an anxious person. My overwhelm goes down. And I have so much headspace freed up to actually run my business and to create things that my clients get so much value out of. I've been doing this for 4 years. In the last year, I am the most proud of how I coach, how I mentor that I've ever been, because I have so much more clarity on what my clients need, whether they know it or not, because I understand who my ideal client is, and I understand the market more, and I understand the world they're living in. I understand the words they use because we've tested things and we've experimented with things, and you've helped me find that.
Wonderful.
So wonderful. It's been wonderful. Something I want to talk about is how this is different from anything I've ever done before, because there's so many business coaches online. And we've talked about this a lot, but like, just because there's a lot of coaches doesn't mean they're all good coaches. And there's so many reasons that you've been an amazing mentor, coach, support, collaborator in my life. But one of them is just that this approach that we've taken is different from anything I've ever done, in the sense that I was so exhausted always focusing on content and like views and going viral and being so dependent on a fucking algorithm. Hope I can swear during this. Fucking algorithm to pay my bills. It felt like it was out of my control, and I always had to be running on the hamster wheel. And when I met you, I wanted someone who could give me consistency. And we did that with systems, but we also did that with ads. Like, that's why I wanted ads. And I just didn't feel like I had to keep up with this exhausting game of always performing for social media. Like, always making my content more engaging and more cinematic and using these hooks. Like, we still do that, but there's predictability in it now. And there's intention behind why we do these things, versus I just used to post 5 TikToks a day and hope one of them went viral. And that worked for me, but it burns you out really quick. So this was super different than anything I've ever done before. And when we decided to work together, I had no idea what it was going to be like. I had no idea the depth of what you were going to give me, because I signed up for like ads, marketing, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg. It's the surface. There's just so much more that we've gotten in that time. But yeah, I felt like I was just shouting into the void with content, like just putting so much out there, and I was so exhausted. Versus now I post less. I have more time. I do more of the back end stuff. I'm working on the bigger picture vision and not so much just trying to like scrape by. There's been moments where it's still been hard sometimes, because running a business is hard and you have to try new things. But this has just brought me so much peace.
It's completely changed the approach of how it feels about testing.
Yeah.
Like you tried different strategies and some of them didn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. We've tried things that didn't work.
The magic button.
Yeah, exactly. But I was too scared to test things before. I was so afraid to do the wrong thing, so I wouldn't do anything, because I had that like overwhelm paralysis. But yeah, I mean, we tried the whole quantity route for a while with content, because that's what used to work for me, and it just doesn't feel aligned, and it's not really what my ideal client resonates with, it seems. And so we tried that, and I'm so happy we tried it because I learned so much. But if we hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to figure out what feels and works well for me, what feels good and works well. So, I mean, even the mistakes, even the things that didn't work, have been life-changing for my business and for me. I mean, I have so much more confidence now because I have clarity in who I am and what I do and who I help. And that has just been amazing. So we were filming and I ran out of phone storage, and I told the whole story of my recent mental breakdown, and now I have to tell it again. So a few weeks ago I had a mental breakdown. And again, it's funny now because it's not happening anymore, but it was really bad. And basically I ran out of money. And the reason I ran out of money is not as funny. For this whole year, all of 2024, which has been the last 10 months, my physical health has been really challenged. And I deal with a neurological condition and chronic pain. And the way that it works is I will have a flare-up that can last anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, and it just completely knocks me on my ass. I can't work, I can't function, I can't exercise, I can't take care of myself, I can't be a human, but I definitely can't work. And you've seen me this year working on figuring this out so much. I've made so many changes to my lifestyle, to my workflow, and you've helped me with a lot of that. But yeah, long story short, because I've struggled with this so much the last 10 months, and it's something that's out of my control. I mean, no matter how hard you work, if you're a business of one and that one person is out sick, then the business doesn't function. And it caught up with me. And I wasn't working as much as I normally am, therefore wasn't signing as many clients, and definitely wasn't signing clients because I had no consistency in my workflow, because I'd get really consistent and then I'd get sick. And the way that I see signing clients is like planting seeds. If you plant the seeds and you water them, and then they start to grow, and then you harvest them. But I kept planting these seeds, getting sick, neglecting the seeds, and then they die. So I was never signing clients because I was never bringing these strategies and these intentions and these processes, these relationships I was warming up. They would just go cold, they would die. And I wasn't bringing in enough income, and I ran out of money. And I texted you and was just really, really in a negative headspace. We got on a call on like a Sunday night at like 9 o'clock. And in like the course of an hour, you talked me down. We figured it out. And a few weeks later, we're fine. We're doing good. And my health is actually better than it has been probably all year, because I also have more stress management techniques. But basically what you told me was not so much like a perfect solution to the problem, because I always want it to be like this magic button we can press that fixes everything. But yeah, so we did some simple things each day, and they were highly effective, and I was able to sign some clients.
We're in the space.
Yeah, it's authentic. But yeah, so you gave me this one mindset tool essentially that was really, really helpful for me being an anxious, overwhelmed person who's working for herself. And that was just figuring out what my kind of like bare minimum tasks were every day. If I had almost no energy, what was the absolute necessities to keep my business running and to work on signing some clients? And then I had like one step above that, like if I had like a moderate amount of energy or I was feeling okay. And then I had like my maximum tier, which was like if I'm feeling awesome, which is how I feel right now. We've been that way for a few weeks. And that was super helpful for me because I knew that on the days I felt great, I could get everything done. I could maximize my business. I could create the success that I want to see. But even on the worst days, I could just focus on those few tasks and still be moving forward. And so you didn't just help me with the strategy side of it. You helped me so much with the mindset side of it as well. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize they need. There's so many business coaches out there who will tell you how to have a sales funnel and how to run an ad and talk about a bunch of acronyms I don't understand when it comes to business strategy. But if you don't have the mindset behind it, you won't have the success that you're looking for. And so no matter what strategy someone gives me, if I don't feel confident in myself, if I can't take care of myself because I'm sick, it doesn't matter. And so you really do both of those things in tandem beautifully, which is give me the mindset of a confident business owner who's already achieved all of her dreams and giving me the strategies to get there. And again, because my health is so impacted by my stress levels, I've been able to not just make so many strides in my business this year, but also relearn how to take care of myself so that I can be consistent and have the success that I want. And I've already signed 2 clients in the last 2.5 weeks since that phone call.
Awesome.
The one other thing that we talked about before my phone ran out of storage was you asked me if the investment was worth it. And I already said earlier in this, you could have told me any amount when we started working together and I would have done it because you were exactly what I needed. But 11 months later, do I still feel that way? Absolutely. And again, with everything I've said, with all of the mindset that you've given me, all of the strategy, all of the knowledge on how to run a fucking business, because I really didn't know how to do that before. I was just doing it, hoping for the best. And then again, when your business is your passion, my business and my life are so connected, the person I am now is completely different. You've given me so much confidence because your energy and your tone is just so matter of fact. You've told me, you change lives and there's no question about it. Or you're good at this, or you need to work on this. You need to be better at this. Figure out how to use ChatGPT. Life-changing. Yeah. 1,000 times worth it. I don't even know how to quantify the amount that you've done for me and the amount that you've given me. And with all of that, I'm actually excited for the future for the first time in a long, long time. Yeah, I've been an anxious person my whole life, and I wasn't excited for the future for a long time. Thinking about tomorrow or next week or 10 years from now would stress me out. And especially when you bring in my business and money into that equation, I was so overwhelmed, I was so stressed. And now I think about these things I want to do. I'm going to run my first in-person event in America soon. And the group programs I want to run, these online communities I'm developing, and the future of them, I'm so much more proud of the work that I do. And I'm so excited for how it'll evolve. And that is a very new feeling. So you give me hope. Yeah, so you're life-changing and I appreciate you and you're worth all of the money. And I'm so proud of us. Thank you.